And then someone picks you up and throws you in the bucket. And you're there.
Yeah. So there's just like a statue garden.
It could actually be a literal
villains.
bucket.
Welcome to Inchworm,
the podcast in which we are inching through Worm. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Ted.
And this time we read the last chapter of the Agitation arc.
Agitation 3.12.
Clock Blocker's not dead!
Yeah, that's what Lisa says at the end. She turns to the camera and says, Jenny, Clock Blocker lived.
She really does know everything.
Incredible. It's your turn to summarize, but like reactions
oh my goodness.
up top.
What an exciting chapter. I can't believe they got away, like, scot-free, except for all the consequences that are inevitably going to follow them from this. But they made a clean escape, no major injuries on either side. It actually went much better than I expected.
Yeah, they really rallied.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And they got out before the other teams got in, which was, that was the real looming menace.
Yeah.
And, the main effect of the situation was the increased enmity between the Undersiders and specifically Taylor, who didn't have any reason to be hated by these people before, and the wards, but especially Glory Girl and Panacea.
Yeah.
And we have these new information threads to pull on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I love your instinct for danger and consequences and how things could wrong. And I'm so happy to give you this moment.
I'm so glad nothing's going to go wrong in this story.
Yeah.
There's only have clean wins.
Yeah.
I did think, I forget if I said this last time, I was like, what if sort of the ongoing takeaway of this fight is they're so excited by what Taylor can do that they decide to start doing sort of bigger, badder heists. Because they're like, Taylor, you're so powerful. With you, we can do anything. And it's kind of true. They defeated the wards plus Glory Girl and Panacea.
Yeah, talk about
through their powers combined.
Right?
Yes.
In a week, the Undersiders, assuming they kind of get credit for the first encounter too, took out Loon, one of the scariest villains in Brockton Bay, and defeated the most powerful teenage hero.
Yes. All of them.
Soundly.
Yeah. And they robbed a bank. They did it very publicly. This is kind of what, I forget if it was Regent was saying before, like, this will be great for our reputation.
Regent wants rep. Bitch does too.
Yeah. And Gru was like, no, we don't need that. But they're going to be happy because this is going to put them on people's radar in a way that could be bad.
Or could be good, depending on which of the Undersiders you are.
But what do they expect to get out of this that's good, really? They're just going to get people gunning for them much harder, which seems like a downside. Maybe Taylor will just take them down from the inside, and then no one will have to worry about them.
That's true. Yeah.
I wanted to say, before I summarize, I think this is going to cut both ways for Taylor. She is going to be extremely hated by all of the heroes. And including Armsmaster, I'm sure, who's like, you're not gonna kill anyone. And she goes and, like, basically almost kills a bunch of people, even if they're not dead. But now they're gonna be even more focused on taking down the Undersiders. So they kind of need Taylor. So she does maybe have some increased leverage, even though she's also kind of the reason that the Undersiders are more hated. It's a really interesting, complicated situation for her, I think.
Yeah.
With regard to the Protectorate.
I like that. But I think our listeners want to know how did they get away?
What happened?
They were in such dire straits before.
None of our listeners have read this book.
Information do?
Okay, well, I said last time, I'm like, she's probably not going to blackmail Glory Girl, is she? And it turns out she is. But not with secret information that Glory Girl doesn't want going public. She goes after the family, which is very smart because that seems like Glory Girl's weakness. So Tattletale is the she in question. Tattletale is saying, I have information. I've read it out of your minds. And because she's still pretending to be psychic, she's like, I've picked up on the subtle clues in your mind and figured out who Panacea's real father is. It's public record that she's been adopted, and Tattletale says, falsified records. Turns out that the sort of parental generation of New Wave, under the name of the Brockton Bay Brigade, our BBB, to go with our ABB, I can't wait to meet the CBB.
Yeah.
The criminals of Brockton Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we meet the dads of Brockton Bay.
Yeah, D.B.B.
That's going to be Taylor's dad's group.
Yeah, when Danny, it's not, there's still no capes in the D.B.B.
Yeah. They're just dads. That's their power. Anyway, the Brockton Bay Brigade defeated a villain soundly in his home and found this little child hiding in the closet and thought that she would probably have powers because apparently they're hereditary. And so they took her, and she doesn't know who her father is. As Tattletale says, if she knew, she would probably do something very stupid. We don't find out who her father is, but it's sort of a situation where she would just be haunted by the knowledge. And
what Tattletale says is that he was a bad enough villain that he was sent straight to the Birdcage.
Yes.
The place,
yes.
Where bad capes go and they don't come back. So that's sort of the level of how scary this person supposedly is.
And Tattletale says, all right, that's just one of the things I know. I know many other haunting things. So she says she won't tell Amy and Victoria, she won't say it in this room, if Glory Girl goes and locks herself in the vault and waits until they all leave. And Glory Girl's like, nope, I'm calling your bluff. I'm going to face the consequences. And Tattletale's like, no, Amy will face the consequences. And Amy pulls herself away from Taylor's grip really abruptly. And Taylor has to, avoid slitting her throat by accident. And once Amy is free, Glory Girl slams into Tattletale, pushes her against the wall, and then Taylor, unfurls her long, extending baton and knocks out Amy. And Glory Girl sees that and totally loses her temper and throws Tattletale across the room at Taylor. And is like, nobody fucks with my family, and starts threatening them with being put in the birdcage. She's going to pull every string she has to get them sent straight to the birdcage, she says. So, meanwhile, Tattletale whispers to Taylor, Bugs, use your swarm on her. And Taylor's like, that doesn't really make sense, but okay. She turns her swarm, which her powers are intact. It was just the interference that Amy was doing was a temporary thing. She turns her swarm on Glory Girl, and of course it doesn't do anything because Glory Girl has this force field over her skin, and Glory Girl's like, I'm invincible, and Tattletale's like, no, you're not, and shoots her with a handgun. And as Tattletale says to Taylor moments later, she's actually not invincible, that's just something she likes people to believe. She has this force field, but it does flicker out at intense blows, and it only comes back online a moment or two later. So while the force field is out, the bugs all get in and attack her. So she's down, being attacked by a swarm of bugs, and Taylor helps Tattletale out of the bank. Tattletale is exhausted from using her power that much, and also her shoulder was dislocated. So they get out of the bank, where it turns out things are still going pretty well. Aegis is the only ward still up, and he's surrounded by dogs, and the cannon is aimed at him. So they meet up with Gru. Gru puts Tattletale's shoulder back in, and they're like, let's get out of here. So they shoot Aegis a couple times and load up the dogs with the 5 of them and the money. I was completely wrong about them not getting any money. This was just a success from start to finish, more or less. And Gru fills the street with darkness, and they ride off. And it's this terrifying ride, but Taylor is exhilarated. She's like, we were so successful. Mm-hmm. And she knows the dog can't see where it's going, Angelica. Angelica is just following Brutus, and Brutus has Gru on his back, and Gru can see where they're going, but none of the rest of them can see at all. But it's still just even though it's terrifying, she's just elated. And so they are riding through the streets. Of course, there are no cars because the area's been blocked off because of the fight. Gru keeps filling all the streets they pass with darkness. So there's sort of a shape to show where they're going, but no one will know where they double back, anything like that. And after riding for a little while on these precarious, huge dogs, they stop, and Taylor and Tattletale get off, and someone shoves a backpack into Taylor's arms with civilian clothes. She changes. She's standing there holding an umbrella, and it takes about 20 minutes for the darkness to disperse on its own. And once it's gone, she's just kind of standing on the street with all these other shoppers who are just kind of looking around terrified. And Lisa's sitting on the steps, and so with Angelica on the leash, just like a normal dog now.
Mm-hmm.
And Lisa comes up and like joins her under the umbrella, and they walk off, just two normal civilians. Apparently the same thing happened with Regent, or that was the plan. Regent would be let off next. And then Bitch and Gru were going to go hide in a warehouse for a few hours until kind of the search dies off. They're going to leave the money there for the boss to pick up. And then they were just going to walk off in the same way, looking normal. And
that's when Taylor checks with Lisa's power.
Yeah.
Everyone's
anyone
okay,
hurt?
anyone
Yeah.
hurt. And Lisa confirms that no one was hurt and says it was a good day.
Yeah, a very good day. Tattletale agrees. Wow, so yeah, they comprehensively beat everyone. Even Aegis and Glory Girl combined.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing victory.
Yeah, I will say Aegis on his own is so tough, right? Like, obviously they were still deploying half of their team just to keep him occupied.
Yes.
But the fact that he's still standing throughout, it's like, it's only been probably 10, 15 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, but
compared to how everybody else went down pretty quickly,
Yeah.
He's doing real well.
Yeah, even Vista and Clockblocker couldn't really, put up a fight. I mean, Clockblocker was very effectively countered by Taylor, and they don't have anyone who can counter Aegis quite to the same extent.
Yeah.
I was really interested by... I feel like the Alexandria package, I had said before, I think it hinges on flying. And this was really reinforcing that for me. It's like everyone who flies needs to have some way in which they're tough. And it's not all the same way. Because it's not like they're invincible. Yeah. Glory Girl has this force field, and she's actually not invincible through the force field. She does have super strength. Maybe she has an accelerated healing, unclear. But mostly she has this force field. Aegis doesn't have a force field. He doesn't have super strength, but he does have this sort of durability, and that's just flying is so dangerous and makes the human body do things that it couldn't otherwise do. There's just that power doesn't work without some level.
Yeah, you need something to compensate.
Yeah,
that totally makes sense.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if we meet any other flying capes, or Alexandria. What is she actually invincible? Or is there something else going on with her too?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a good observation.
A side note, but yeah.
I did really like, since we're talking about powers and stuff, before we get into the meat of the chapter, there were several really good instances of exposition drops, again, very organically in the middle of the action. We get this story time at the beginning where we learn about the Brockton Bay Brigade, and Tattletale opens by basically saying, this was 11 years ago, only 5 years after Capes really started showing up. This story's set in 2011. This is the mid-90s is when Cape teams really came on the scene. So again, just reminding us that it's Capes have only been around a little longer than Taylor has been alive.
That timeline was
It's such a short timeline. It reminds us, Armsmaster saying, I was around when there were still good names, and he's probably 30.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. He was old enough to be in the wards when Capes first started getting on the scene, right?
So the 80s was...
I think
Scion.
Late 80s is Scion.
And it took about,
another 5 to 10 years for Capes to show up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In large numbers.
Yeah. It's weird. We're so far out from 2011 at this point that it feels
longer ago.
Yeah, it's
so
40
true.
years since Scion showed up. But no, it's more like 25. Yeah.
And then we get the interesting tidbit. They didn't say powers are heritable.
No,
she did say
correct.
Higher odds to get powers.
I was wondering about that.
If your parents are Capes.
Because we did have the possibility of some kind of contagion.
That was one of the theories about how Scion worked.
Yeah. So, it might just be, you share germs in a family. If it's a contagion that's hard to contract, it might be much more likely to happen in, a close family situation.
Yeah. But that's a really interesting detail that I don't think we'd seen before. We also speculated a little bit about Taylor having a limit to her powers that was coming out in this fight. It turns out that was just
Amy.
Amy's interference. But Tattletale does mention that her power...
She's wiped out,
that she's struggling because of how much she had to use her power during this encounter.
Right. She was extracting the history of this family and probably a lot of other stuff.
Yeah. Which was interesting that came up.
So this whole thing with Amy and her father, really interesting this is making me wonder, are there villains we've heard of who he could be? Because I do think when we find out who her father is, we're going to have to already know who he is or it's not going to have an impact. So, probably we'll meet this guy or hear of him before we find out it's her father. Mm-hmm. Theoretically, he's in the Birdcage. We learn a lot of really interesting stuff about the Birdcage. So,
true.
Glory Girl's description of it is so vindictive, and I mean,
it's just a bucket where we dump scum like you, so we never have to worry about you again.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that they would want that. It's also not okay. Like, especially the whole 3 strikes system. Like, you get someone who robs a bank 3 times, and then they get shut up in a prison without wardens. No communication with the outside world. No escapes yet, which is pretty amazing considering it houses all of the worst and most powerful villains we've been able to capture. We don't even know for sure if anyone's alive inside there.
She clarifies this a paragraph later, but it's like, oh, you have a secret about my family? Once you get to the Birdcage, it doesn't matter if you tell anyone because no information comes back out.
Nothing gets out. Yeah, so that's really interesting. I understand why they would want something like this in a world with such powerful people. It also, how did they build this thing? How is it maintained? Like, whose power is intense enough that it could create something like this? And how do they know no one's escaped if there's no communication and no wardens? Which makes me think, okay, so here's my theory. It's possible that Amy's father is someone we'll hear of later. We haven't heard of him yet. That's entirely possible. It's a long book, a lot of time to, like, meet many villains. It's not like the next villain we hear of will be like, ooh, Amy's dad, you know. There's plenty of space to put in villains in a way that we won't suspect. But if it is someone we've already met, I bet that this person has escaped from the Birdcage, and I bet it's the boss.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's my theory.
That's good. Yeah. That's good.
I'm not sure who else we've met who's, like, gonna feel scary enough when we find out. I mean, there's all the petty villains in Brockton Bay, but, like, she defeated Loong in the first arc. Like, it's not gonna be someone of that caliber.
We've heard a few mentions of names, like when Tattletale was talking about really scary people. Yeah. Heartbreaker, Nilbog. We've heard some names that came up.
Right, yeah.
But what you're looking for is something that's a little bit more...
Yeah.
A little bit meatier.
Yeah.
And if that's true, then he can join the D.B.B. with Danny.
Wow, that's going to be a real coup for the D.B.B. Yeah. They didn't have any powers, and then they get, you know, the boss. That's also, like, if Taylor's goal here is to bring down the boss, it's pretty cool if the boss is that big deal of villain.
Yeah.
Escaped from the Birdcage.
I'll throw this out to you. This could be a total tangent, but somebody did ask us in the Ask a Host channel, basically, the Birdcage is this place where you put scary superheroes.
Yeah.
If you were designing a place that actually could be inescapable for people with superpowers, do you have any thoughts about, like, how you would do it? Or maybe just what it would take to do it?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like some sort of space outside of time could be effective.
Oh, sure.
A portal of some kind, like to a different dimension, like a pocket dimension.
A pocket dimension? We love pocket dimension theories.
Dimensions, yeah, in the greater anamorphology universe. I think that would probably be the safest kind of thing. Like, whatever that D&D spell is that lets you, like, create a little private dimension and, like, keep stuff in it, and then you can, like, open it with the spell. Yeah. Like, that kind of thing, where it's just, like, you couldn't possibly get out. The time thing might be better because there could be capes who can escape, who can, like, dimension hop, like Professor Haywire or whatever.
Yeah.
Would be able to get out of something like that. But if, you know, it's kind of like Clockblocker's power, but, like, up a notch, where, like, if they're frozen in time forever, they can't counter it in any way.
I mean, that's true. If Clockblocker could jailbreak his power and set that dial from 10 minutes to 10,000 years, like, problem solved. Sort of game over.
And there could very easily be a cape with Clockblocker's power where instead of touches you and puts you out of time for 30 seconds to 10 minutes, touches you and puts you out of time until they touch you again.
Right. Exactly.
And then someone picks you up and throws you in the bucket. And you're there.
Yeah. So there's just like a statue garden.
It could actually be a literal bucket. Well, you would want it to be well guarded.
Bucket.
You'd want it to be well guarded enough that the villain's cronies couldn't get them out. Because the villains aren't going to be doing anything. But, like, they're frozen. Remember the thing with Clock Block, you wouldn't be able to move the thing.
I'm sorry, I can't get over the idea that Victoria is here, and instead of her, like, sneering, it's just a bucket where we throw scum like you. It's her, like, pushing up her glasses, being like, it's just a bucket where we dump scum like you.
If they're frozen outside of time, like, they don't need to be comfortable. They aren't going to be able to feel anything. Yeah. You can just pile them up.
Yeah, that's true.
But you would have to have the outside protected so they can't be rescued.
Yeah.
I mean, even if they can be rescued, how do you unfreeze them? But, that's a problem for the villains.
I like it. I'm convinced.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like anything else you can do, there probably would be someone who could counter it in some way. I don't know.
But also, again, just like circling back to Lisa's theory of cops and robbers, I just feel like if your risk is third strike sends you to Birdcage, huge risk. Like,
you don't want to be frozen and dumped in a bucket.
Yeah. I mean, so I feel like those were kind of the lore bits that stood out to me. Do you want to get into the fight getting dirty in both emotional and physical ways?
Yeah. I feel like when we saw Glory Girl in the interlude, she was using Amy. She was trying to, like, play on Amy's sense of family loyalty to be like, help me out of this jam. You don't want the consequences to redound on our whole family.
Yeah.
And in this, you really see the genuineness of her attachment to her family.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. It's really her button.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely her weakness. Like, Tattletale has all this knowledge about her that could, like, harm her and her family. Like, Glory Girl has her physically in her power. She could kill her. She could at least hold her, shut her up by force. And Taylor hits Amy. And Glory Girl throws Tattletale across the room at Taylor. And that's completely the wrong move. She put them together as allies. She let go of her control over Tattletale. And then she doesn't immediately regain it. She starts monologuing instead.
Yeah.
And she was completely undone by the physical threat to Amy. And
I do want to read that paragraph.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, but nobody fucks with my family, she shouted, and her power cranked out full bore. My knees turned to jelly and my brain just gave up on rational thought. Glory Girl threw Tattletale at me like a very strong child might throw a rag doll, and I just stood there like a deer in the headlights.
Amazing. She did it like a child. She wasn't thinking. It was...
I was going to point out, it's directly in the text.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've compared Glory Girl to a toddler throwing a tantrum in the interlude previously, and this is her... 2 appearances, 2 for 2, she loses her temper and throws somebody or kicks something at somebody.
Yeah.
When stuff doesn't go her way and she can't control it, she really lashes out.
I was thinking, when I was like, okay, so Glory Girl's weakness is her family, I was like, I mean, Taylor's weakness will also, like, if someone threatens her dad, I think that would be really difficult for her.
Yeah.
But the major difference is that Glory Girl cannot control her temper, and Taylor is very good at controlling her temper.
Absolutely.
She decides when she beat up Bitch, it was because she decided there was no reason not to. Glory Girl had reasons not to. She just wasn't able to access those reasons and use them to stop herself.
Yeah.
A completely different situation.
Yeah, and I think this scene unlocks more of a perspective on what her power means for her, right? So what we learn is that Glory Girl is a glass cannon. She is tough, but she breaks easily. Like one hit from a gun and her force field goes away. I could imagine she gets shot, she shrugs it off, and then who would shoot her again, right? But it's the 1-2 punch of the bugs are there ready to swoop in instantly. And Tattletale knows that. The parallels between her and Tattletale are striking. Like, Tattletale has no defensive power except her information. And Cape fights
turn out to be all about information. Like, what exactly is someone's power? How does it work? Tattletale knows that Glory Girl doesn't actually have invulnerability. She just has this force field that can be knocked out. That's enough to let her beat Glory Girl in a fight. And
she has this amazing Sherlock Holmesian observation where she's like, well, I saw that she had dust on her costume. Right. There was a line in the previous chapter that Taylor sees Victoria brushing dust off of herself after she lands. Yeah. And so since the very beginning of the combat, her power has clocked that there's this basically way to get around it. The Holmes connection is really fun because it is completely ridiculous, some of the deductions, like especially in the BBC Sherlock, like when he's first meeting Watson, where he's like, oh, I see that this phone has like some, you know, damage around the charging port. So the person plugging it in at night was an alcoholic. And like, that is a completely ridiculous. There's so many other things that could explain that. Yeah. But if you have a power like Tattletale's, you can take that little detail and her power will make the leap to the correct conclusion. It's sort of like, it's just like, she's like, why did she have to brush dust off of herself? Yeah. Like just asking that question is her way in. Explanation, which is so fun. Yeah. What a great power. I feel like I need to like rank them all differently now after this fight. Well, it's funny that you connect Glory Girl and Tattletale. I want to connect them in a different way. They're both smug. Yes. Well, they're both confident in their worldviews and in the idea that they're doing the right thing. And their projecting confidence is important to their success. Yes. Right? Last chapter, Tattletale had that incredibly long monologue where she is using her power to continually get information that allows her to stay in command of the social situation so that basically Victoria doesn't fly across the room and punch her because Tattletale knows she loses in that situation. And Glory Girl is obviously surprised that somebody figured out the trick to her power, but it really reinforces that she has to act invulnerable. Yeah. She has to project, she has to use the aura part of her ability. Yeah, she literally has that projection ability. Yeah. To cover for this weakness that is like pretty brittle and pretty, in this fight, debilitating. Yeah. Yeah. So, right, they both have these weaknesses. Tattletale's is just that she has absolutely no physical ability at all. Right. But it's all mental. Victoria is much more likely to get into these kinds of scrapes, and she needs to make sure that the fact that she can get 1-2 punched does not get out, and that it doesn't even occur to people because she is so intimidating. Right. She's so invulnerable. I really loved thinking about this quartet of girls, of teenage girls inside the bank, and the parallels. I feel like there are some pretty significant ways in which Glory Girl and Tattletale are similar, and Taylor and Panacea are similar. Taylor and Panacea both seem to have a really strong sense of morality, really strong hatred of bad guys, really strong urge to protect. And they both seem, I mean, we haven't seen as much of Panacea, obviously. We haven't been in her head. But they both seem to be people who are really concerned with like, okay, am I doing the right thing? What's the right thing in this situation? Like, there are things I could do that might be the wrong thing and I want to avoid them, you know? Yeah. And feel really burdened with their power and how they're going to use that to act for good. Yeah. And Glory Girl and Tattletale, in different ways, both feel like, no, it's all good. Whatever I do is fine. Like, there are not going to be any really bad consequences from what I do. Tattletale, because she has this whole narrative in her head about cops and robbers, it's all kind of a game. And Glory Girl, because, I mean, she's never had to suffer the consequences of anything. And she also believes, like, I'm great, so of course I can throw you in the bucket, right? Like, she has this... I am always right. She has this black and white worldview. Yeah. And Tattletale thinks... no one's really right. It's all fine. Yeah. Which is really funny. They're on opposite sides and very different people, especially Tattletale's all about knowledge and intellect, and Glory Girl doesn't seem to be about that very much. Not very cerebral as a hero, but they really are very similar in a lot of ways. I will stand up for Glory Girl in that she does seem to be pursuing advanced college level courses as a high schooler. No, that's true. She's not stupid. Yeah.
But she's not a cerebral hero. Like, she's mostly a physical presence.
Absolutely.
And she's not calculating.
Right. Well, that's the other thing where the Undersiders really have a leg up on New Wave, is I would say Taylor and Lisa, incredibly calculating. Glory Girl and Panacea both make unforced errors in this fight.
Panacea was pretty sneaky. Her,
That's true.
pretending to slump and then pushing back. Like,
I gotta say, the whole dynamic that, so we have the emotional manipulation part of the scene, and then we get to the physical combat, which is just a total disaster from start to finish. Nobody is in control of the situation. And it starts because Tattletale's doing her smug little countdown. And maybe Victoria would have locked herself in the vault. But Amy freaks out and starts, I think, running towards Tattletale. At least Tattletale, ducks away as she escapes from Taylor. Totally calling Taylor's bluff with the knife. Taylor says, I had to actually, move my arm away to avoid cutting Amy's throat. Right? So, one, the whole dynamic of the scene up until now is, everybody believed that Taylor was willing to kill Amy. Amy calls that bluff, and thankfully for her, Taylor was not willing to kill her, right?
Yeah,
interesting that we found out the answer to that question.
I mean, we already knew. I think.
Then Amy runs forward a bit, but Glory Girl can go a lot faster, slamming Tattletale into a wall, and Taylor hits Amy on the side of the head, and she is done. She is out. In terms of a maneuver there, she does basically give Glory Girl a chance to act, but at the cost of her being absolutely down for the count. It doesn't seem like good strategic play. It seems very much like, speaking of pushing buttons, her buttons were pushed to a breaking point, and she was willing to risk dying to have a chance to go after Lisa.
And to maybe avoid learning the things she doesn't want to learn.
Exactly.
She's that afraid of her heritage.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a piece of it of not trusting what Victoria will do. Victoria has already said, I'm calling your bluff. And Tattletale's like, well, you shouldn't because it's going to hurt Amy. But, we don't really see another reaction from Victoria. It doesn't seem like Amy can trust that Victoria will actually do what Tattletale tells her to do. And maybe to give more credit to Amy, maybe it's just that she really doesn't trust Taylor and Tattletale. And so, once Glory Girl's in a vault, why shouldn't Tattletale just tell her the thing? She doesn't want to suddenly be in their power.
Yeah, no, that's true. And we don't get any interiority from Amy. She doesn't say anything. So we don't really know why she did what she did. We do get Taylor reading her body language, right? As soon as Tattletale brings up the parentage secret, Amy slumps in defeat.
Which I thought was a bluff. It was a little unclear because she does straighten up at some point and then she bursts out. So I'm not sure that it was a bluff.
Yeah, I guess you have the moment where she slumps in defeat. Taylor thinks the fight has gone out of her. And then when Tattletale teases the even worse secret related to...
Which is intriguing.
Amy, she feels Panacea stiffen. So that's the other thing that we get. And then, you're full of shit. Panacea spat the words. And Taylor says to her, then why are you so tense? And that's immediately before she breaks out.
So I was sort of glossing over I was kind of thinking maybe Tattletale's bluffing with this other secret, but actually based on their reactions, it sounds like no. It sounds like there really is a worse secret than the parentage thing.
Yeah, and I'll invite you to speculate on that. I do want to talk about just the bit just before that, because I think it's an interesting character beat for Glory Girl. When Tattletale starts implying that there's a worse secret, Glory Girl has a reaction in her face, and Tattletale says, nah, you're very self-involved. You think it's all about you and your overzealous nature. And this is kind of following up from the interlude.
You think it's because...
Glory Girl's thinking Tattletale's going to be like, hey, I know
you
about...
damage these people so badly.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, it's the kind of thing maybe she is starting to believe she's psychic. If she's thinking guilty thoughts, it's oh God, stay out of my head. Don't think about the things I'm thinking about. But... that is not where Tattletale is going. What she says is, it's not about you. Not everything's about you, Glory Hole. You won't be tickled pink either, but the aftermath of her telling the secret would be hers to deal with, referring to Panacea. Humiliation, shame, heartbreak. I could feel Panacea stiffening my grip. And then Tattletale's like, you have 12 seconds, and it all spirals out of control.
Amazing. Tattletale's so cool.
I mean, absolutely.
Honestly, the Undersiders as a whole, so cool. Like, Tattletale's power really came through for them here. I mean, Taylor's we already saw, like, 2 chapters ago, and also here she was able to defeat Glory Girl alongside Tattletale. And then Gru was ridiculous in this. Oh my gosh, he filled the whole street and all the surrounding streets with darkness. And then as they rode on, he just spread the darkness more and more. I can completely see how this team has managed to get away with what it has. Being able to escape like this?
Yeah.
I'm honestly, like, the extent of what Gru can do makes me wonder if they couldn't just have escaped.
Yeah.
Like, I guess the wards were really ready for them, but, like, they're so good at escaping. Tattletale is so good at getting information. Regent and Bitch are pretty great in combat, honestly. Like, Regent was much more effective than I anticipated.
I will say they probably... The counters that come to mind are Clock Blocker and Vista. So I feel like they did need... Like, those two would make it really hard to pull off an escape.
Yeah.
And they did need, kind of those 2 chapters.
Yeah, I mean,
before.
it worked out better to take them out. Yeah, and adding Taylor to their team just as sort of a very different type of offense. Just like they're... The Protectorate would be correct to conclude that this team is incredibly powerful and dangerous.
Yeah.
And is only going to be capable of doing more and more.
I know. I mean, and it's fun. Again... We can get into, like, how Taylor's feeling about it all maybe a bit later, but it's nice that she's on a cool, super powerful villain team. Just, like, narratively, it's so fun.
Yes!
That moment you mentioned where they're escaping is another one that just pops into my head as a perfect visual. Like, Aegis, like, gets out of the rubble of a building that they just knocked down on his head and sees the darkness, and he flies up over the city, but then it's just extending away across so many different city blocks, and, like, occasionally there'll be a puff of new darkness on 5 streets to the east, but then there'll be a puff of darkness to the south, and then one to the north. You know, like, they're covering their tracks and doubling back, and then it sits there for 20 minutes, and when it's gone, it's all, there's nothing they can do.
Right.
You know, nobody's there anymore.
Without a trace.
I can just picture it so perfectly, and it's so
great
cool.
Visuals.
It's so cool.
I love how happy Taylor is after this. I mean, it's kind of playing into what I've been predicting, what I feel is pretty obvious, that she's going to get attached. Like, she's bonding with these people. It's hard to fight on someone's side without caring about them. But she feels so great. They won.
I hooted, hollered, and cheered our victory, barely hearing the noise myself as the darkness absorbed it. We'd done it. I'd done it.
And I think what she says is... We'd escaped without killing anyone. And then she goes on, the people who'd really been hurt were just the heroes, and they'd all be fixed by Panacea. Property damage, well, the Wards and Glory Girl caused that, which is a little specious because they wouldn't have caused that damage if you guys hadn't been robbing the bank. But
I remember a dog jumping onto a building and exploding some windows. I remember they just shot a building down on top of Aegis. You know, largely is doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
I want to read it more because you get this amazing rationalization. I'd scared some innocent people, but I'd be lying to myself if I said that could have been avoided. In short, things couldn't have gone better. Okay, they could have gone a lot better, but the way they ended up, pretty damn good all in all. Like, I can just feel her. It's like, for the first time, she can't let doubt creep in, right? Like, she's such an analytical person. Yeah. But this is like, she's like, it could have gone better, and she feels so good. She's like, of course not. This is great. We're awesome. Like, I love the Undersiders, right? Like, she's so hyped, and you can feel it in, like, the way her narration just, like, easily throws away all these cares and worries.
Which is a very Tattletale type of thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, really echoing that speech from Tattletale near the beginning of this bank heist. I'd be very curious to know how much of her feeling good here is, I did it, my goal was to minimize damage, and I feel like I succeeded, and how much is just like, I beat those guys.
Yeah.
Because I think it's mostly the latter. And she is happy, and she's able to kind of direct her happiness into the context of, I kept them from killing and even really hurting people.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the real source of her happiness here.
And
it's a little more primal.
She doesn't spend a lot of time thinking about how she feels about Panacea and Glory Girl, but they're both awful to her over this chapter and the previous chapter.
Oh, yeah.
So, when you get down to it, just, getting out of that situation and having totally beat them, you're going to be feeling great about it.
I mean, Glory Girl's awful in general. And, I mean, Panacea, I don't think is necessarily an awful person, but she was just her words were just poisonous to Taylor.
Yeah.
Taylor's not going to feel good about her.
Yeah. There's one moment in their escape I just want to call out. It doesn't connect to anything thematically or anything, but Regent tries to take Kidwin's skateboard that he's been using to such great effect. And Gru says to leave it. You got to assume any tinker worth a damn is going to have tracking devices in their stuff. And Regent, what does he do? Dad says no. He turns to Mom. It's true, Tattletale answered as Regent turned towards her. Sorry. Fuck, Regent swore.
Regent just really wanted a flying skateboard.
I know. I love this moment.
Which is amazing. Where would he have flown it? In the loft?
He's a couple years younger. He's the same age as Taylor, but he's clearly the baby on the team. And he's he just wants somebody to tell him he can keep his cool toy. And then he reluctantly shoves his taser in it until it starts smoking and leaves it. Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it so much.
So I do think it's... Taylor really made some enemies here.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Clock Blocker doesn't know it was her, but he's going to figure it out pretty fast. And wow, is he going to be mad about that? Glory Girl and Panacea.
Yeah.
Those are not enemies you want to have.
What are the odds that Glory Girl has ever been defeated?
Ooh.
Right?
And Tattletale and Taylor did it together. The odds are pretty low.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, it's possible we'll find out this is an open secret, but we don't know how common
I doubt it.
powers like Tattletale's are.
No.
When would this have come up? A couple more Tattletale-related things. You were kind of saying, this is her moment to shine. It is notable to me. Taylor is instrumental in, the plan working here, but it is absolutely Tattletale's victory. And it's fun to me, sort of the way this is structured, is despite the fact that Taylor's presence here is what allows them to pull the whole thing off. She really makes all the pieces work. It's a team victory. We had Taylor versus Clock Blocker was absolutely Taylor winning and doing it on her own. But the chapter after that, it was mostly about watching Regent and Gru and Bitch to some extent do cool stuff while Taylor played kind of a support observer role. And then this whole encounter in the bank, Taylor's power isn't working half the time, and she's able to have the bugs sting Glory Girl, but it's only thanks to Tattletale's power.
I did love that her power came back in at the end, and we got to end the bank heist with her doing something cool with her bugs.
Well, right.
But go on with your
no. But it works really well that Taylor isn't totally passive.
Yeah.
But it's so fun that it's a team victory.
Oh, yeah. The two of them together.
And in particular, it's just this tour de force. Now I feel like I get what Tattletale is about. I get what her power can do. I get why she's useful even in a fight.
Combat,
despite the fact, that she's so fragile.
Right. This really drives the point home. It's not that she just gets them the information ahead of time. Information feels like a thing. Whatever, you can punch whoever, that's what's real. But the information does turn the tide. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the more powerful element here. And
we get her fragility in this chapter too.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so visceral. The moment when everything sort of starts falling apart, Amy breaks free. Tattletale's immediately, she loses her cool. She's scrambling behind a desk. Glory Girl basically flies her into a wall with her hand over Tattletale's mouth. And then, because Taylor hits Amy in the head, Tattletale gets thrown across the entire bank lobby.
Fortunately at Taylor, which really cushioned her fall.
But her shoulder gets dislocated. Yeah. And, it's Tattletale's gripping one of her arms, making little whimpering noises.
Yeah.
And when Tattletale's talking to Taylor, she's like, bugs, swarm her. Yeah. She's hyperventilating a little bit. She's
really struggling
so badly. And then, of course, she does get her rule of cool moment where she props herself up on one arm, draws a gun, and shoots Glory Girl, which I love. But like that she like hobbles out of the bank and it's like, Taylor, can you reset my arm? And Taylor does know first aid, but she's like, I'm probably not strong enough and it would like take me a while to get you into a good position. And then they find Gru and she's like, Gru,
hey.
can you...
No. Hey, G-Man.
Yeah, hey, G-Man. And he just like pops it in. It's like the old hat, maybe they've done this before. But I love that we get both sides, right? Like she's not just grandstanding and untouchable the way Glory Girl wants to be untouchable, right? It really, she's walking the razor's edge, and that makes the success all the sweeter.
Yes. We didn't find out, maybe it was just she was investigating Glory Girl or something, but we didn't find out what she went off to do when she left Taylor alone.
Good observation.
Yeah, I bet we'll find out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, I have a more thematic question for you. Before we get to sort of the real quote-unquote secret, or the worse secret, when Tattletale is expositing about Panacea's father, we get this read on what that knowledge would do to Amy. And I thought this was just really interesting. It's not the man that would bother her so much. It's the knowing. Every hour of every day after hearing me say his name, she would wonder. She's terrified she'll start second-guessing every part of herself, wondering if she inherited it from him, or if she was that way out of an unconscious desire to not be him. Knowing as much as she does already keeps her awake some nights, but knowing his name, knowing who he is and what he did, for the rest of her life she would compare herself to him. Isn't that right, Amy? Shut up! Just shut up! Panacea retorted, her voice thick with emotion. What does this tell you about Amy? Or, like, assuming this is a good read on her, like...
Well, what I was thinking, listening to you read that, is it's a little bit like what Amy did to that guy from Triple E, where she, like, probably some of this is already true, that Amy's already second-guessing herself in this way, but listening to, like, this is planting the idea in her head that she should be, and it's planting the added idea that if she knew, she would be even more worried, which is going to mean that she's going to be even more haunted by it. So Tattletale's scoring a psychological victory even without giving the information that she says would do the thing.
She's finding the insecurity and then figuring out how to dial it up.
Dialing it up without even taking the final step of imparting her knowledge.
Exactly.
Which maybe wouldn't even do that. Like, maybe the guy's not that bad.
Exactly. Like, that's true. It could be a bluff.
The fact that Amy is bothered this badly by it, I think probably plays into what I was saying about, like, she is someone who's very concerned about doing the right thing and being the right kind of person, and is very aware of the possibility of not doing that. And it also probably signals the way she feels out of place in her family.
Yeah.
And that is, I mean, that's probably partly why she did what she did for Glory Girl in the interlude, is that, like, she feels like she needs to earn her place in in the family by proving her loyalty extra.
Right. Right.
Because she knows that, like, not only... I mean, I think she knew that she was a villain's daughter before this.
Right.
She knows that not only is she not the natural-born child of the family, but she is the child of a villain. And, like, what if that seed is in her somehow? Like, I think she was
afraid of being born bad.
Yeah.
And it could just be, in that relatable, I'm the little sister of the perfect girl. Yeah,
those two things probably exacerbate each other.
Yeah. So my thematic question for you is Tattletale being a bully in this scene? The connection that I made rereading this is this like paragraph of emotional manipulation, despite being tactical in like a combat situation, it does kind of remind me of the way Emma dredged up Taylor's past and threw it in her face.
Yeah, no, bullying is inherently about a power differential, and it's about aggression towards someone who can't strike back, who doesn't really have any power of their own. It's sort of exercising that, like, aggression, that abuse, like, getting something out of watching them suffer when they can't strike back. Amy is not the underdog here. This is combat between two... I'm going to say they're relatively evenly matched sides. On the face of it, Glory Girl has all the power and Tattletale is the underdog. If anything, Tattletale is punching up, but this whole fight between the wards and the Undersiders, the wards and New Wave and the Undersiders is a relatively equal combat. They're fighting for dominance. That really has nothing to do with bullying.
Yeah. We've talked a little bit before, sort of like Taylor, she has a swarm of bugs. So the kinds of things she does, like what she does to Clockblocker, that's like that's the tool she has on hand to have an advantage. And it seems like for Tattletale, maybe some of that is going emotional scorched earth.
Yeah, it is going to be dredging up, what hurts people the most.
Yeah. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I think that is her weapon. And it is a weapon that bullies can use, but this isn't a context of bullying.
Yeah. Before we get into more predictions and things, did you have any feeling about sort of the way the arc ended, the way the chapter ended? We kind of get this, like, with some falling action with their escape, and then this really nice calm moment. Just two girls finishing their shopping, walking their dog.
Yeah, it's a really nice moment of, like, surrealism and almost detachment from the story of just like, yep, they're just normal girls. And it's a really enjoyable sort of double identity, playing into the secret identity thing. In general, this chapter was just like such a satisfying end to the arc. I mean, I know so many bad things are going to happen in this book. It just is so clear. I feel like I'm braced for them to happen all the time. And it was just really nice for, I mean, they are the bad guys, but they're our bad guys.
Yeah.
It was nice for our side to win this fight so comprehensively and in such cool ways. Like, all the combat we saw was just like really interesting and creative uses of people's powers, and everyone was so cool.
That's what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, Taylor's in way deeper with these people, both because they've been through this fight together and because she's now alienated all the people who might otherwise naturally be her allies. And they're in, like, much deeper hot water with all of the heroes. It really upped the stakes. It upped the... It sort of sized up the whole situation.
Yeah.
Just, I think the Undersiders are going to be able to do bigger things. The heroes are going to be gunning much harder for them, especially New Wave. Because the threat isn't over, right? Like, Tattletale didn't tell Amy what she knows, but now Glory Girl and Amy know that, I mean, Victoria...
There's a sword of Damocles over Amy's head as we speak.
Glory Girl is going to want to take Tattletale out to protect her sister, and Amy's going to want to protect herself from that knowledge, which is so viscerally terrifying to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it makes her impulsive and stupid, which doesn't seem like her natural traits.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just kind of... I wouldn't say we blew things wide open. Things sort of ballooned in this way that, like, you can kind of see them maybe continuing to expand outward.
Yeah. Things got very agitated. Like Taylor's swarm coming out of the van.
Yes, it expanded. So, predictions. I'm going to predict the interlude next. So, the past two interludes have been from people who we'd heard mentioned but hadn't seen on the page before their interlude. I'm going to say that trend is going to continue. It doesn't have to, but let's say it does. I think we're going to hear from someone who'll be able to give us insight into another sort of group of players in Brockton Bay. I think we're going to hear from not Armsmaster, but one of the other members of the Protectorate.
Ooh, okay. I love that.
We've only seen Armsmaster on the page. We've heard the others' names. I think Miss Militia is the one we've heard the most about. Might be one of the others, but, like, she just seems like the most obvious candidate, so I'm going to say her. And, yeah, it could be, like, a different villain in Brockton Bay, but I don't know. We haven't seen the Protectorate, and I think they're going to be big players, so...
Very exciting. Looking forward to that.
Yeah. In terms of what happens next, like, we're going to have to see Taylor going home a little bit. The school thing's going to have to come up at some point, though maybe not super soon. We'll see. The Undersiders are going to be thrilled about this, so we're going to get them reconvening.
Oh, yeah.
Lisa's going to be crowing so much.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be so happy. They're going to be really happy with Taylor, and they're going to start planning their next job, which Taylor's like, I don't want to do another job right away. I want to find out who the boss is. So she's going to be trying maybe more actively. Like, up to this point, she was just kind of trying to make it in the gang. Now that she's really firmly established as a valuable member of the gang, she's going to be trying to figure out who is this boss.
Right.
And I bet Armsmaster's going to try to contact her.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's gonna... I mean, he doesn't know who she is. I don't know how he's gonna do that. It would be interesting if a member of the wards tried to contact her. But, like, that would mean Armsmaster would have to tell them. So, you know, Armsmaster's probably the most likely candidate to contact her. And he's going to want to yell at her about the whole bank situation, which seems to have been quite a disaster for the heroes. I mean, they have so much literal cleanup. They look terrible because all of the wards, and, I mean, maybe the press doesn't know that Glory Girl and Panacea were there, but, like...
Yeah, if the Undersiders pull off a heist against 3 wards... That's probably like, oh, we'll put on a brave face, and, you know, it was a really close call. This is a disaster.
All the wards except Shadowstalker. I don't know why Shadowstalker wasn't there.
Yeah.
All the wards except Shadowstalker, who, I don't know, maybe had strep throat that day, and 2 of the most powerful members of New Wave.
Yeah.
That's a PR victory for the Undersiders, though, again, what does it win them? I guess maybe, like, sort of points in the villain scene.
Yeah.
I do wonder how it's going to affect the Undersiders' relationship with other villains. They don't seem to be interested in holding territory, so they might be okay. They might be less of a target for that reason. But if they are getting more powerful, that incentivizes other villains trying to take them down a few pegs.
Interesting.
So they might see, because, I mean, they had that scrap with Loong that Taylor, you know, cut off before it started, but they might see more challenges from other villain gangs. And Taylor's going to be really uninterested in that, except insofar as she can find out stuff about the other villains, I guess, which Tattletale will know, so that's great. So yeah, I think those are kind of going to be elements at play. Hopefully we'll see the bullies again, but maybe not soon. You know, they've faded from the story a little bit at this point. I don't know if they'll be back next arc or if they'll sort of be kept to the side to be brought back again later. I have 2 sort of longer term thoughts. We talked about the Endbringers. You asked me what they do. I think what they do are, I mean, I'm not sure how this is like multiple people's powers, but I think there's at least someone in the Endbringers who have the power not just to kill you, but to erase you from reality so that you never existed and no one remembers you. And I think that would be a really haunting thing for people.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so intense.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I can see why Lisa would react the way she did. Oh, yeah.
The idea that no one would ever know you'd existed.
Yeah.
Horrifying. My other longer-term thought is we're going to break into the Birdcage at some point.
Ooh. Yeah. Well, you know, breaking in might be easier than breaking out.
We'll break in and out.
I will say breaking into the Birdcage isn't that cool if our bucket theory is correct.
But it has to be a really well-guarded bucket.
Okay. Getting past the...
Okay, it's probably not a literal bucket where they just pile people's time-frozen bodies.
What would you have guarding this bucket or prison?
I feel like you would need to have 2 capes who both... Well, maybe more. You need to have a lot of redundancy.
Sure.
Because what you don't want is the human element of, like, there's one cape who holds the key and someone threatens their family.
Yeah.
I was going to say you need to have 2 capes who both have complete control over the situation, and, like, as long as one of them is active, no one can get in or out.
Right.
So, you know, maybe, like, force field people, maybe, you know, whoever's keeping the other dimension. Like, I think you'd need a few layers of redundancy, though.
Yeah, that sounds great. Good task for Shielder. You know, no one else wants to deal with him. One specific thing I want to invite you to speculate on, the sentence that would tear your family apart, the humiliation, shame, and heartbreak that Tattletale is threatening them.
Yeah.
Do you have any speculation?
It's a great question. Is Glory Girl also adopted?
Ooh.
Or something terrible one of their other relatives did. I feel like they have done sort of terrible things, but, like, that we already know about. Like, I think it's going to be something deeper and darker.
I mean, yeah, I'm not sure why Glory Girl being adopted would be a problem for Panacea.
No, you're right. You're right.
But yeah.
Yeah, it really wouldn't be. That doesn't make sense. I don't know. I'll think about it.
Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, it's definitely set up. Both of the undeployed secrets, I feel like, are set up as mysteries in this chapter, which is just, it's really fun to have these mysteries indefinitely going forward in the story. Before we do names, I have a very special name game for you.
Okay.
You mentioned before there's this quartet of teen heroines.
Inside the bank, yeah.
Inside the bank. And...
Heroine being a loose term here, yes.
They're foils for each other.
Yeah.
It's a really fun dynamic. Without saying anything about the prevalence of these ships, I would like you to speculate on the ship name the community has come up with for Taylor and each of these other girls.
I was going to say the 4 of them together would be Teen Girl Squad, obviously.
If you have any stuff off the dome, that's great, but I also have another, like, one little clue to give you to aid in speculation, if you want it.
I first want to say which of them would be which on Teen Girl Squad.
Please.
Obviously, Glory Girl is cheerleader.
Duh.
So-and-so is Tattletale. She's the brainy one.
Yeah.
What's-her-face is obviously Taylor. She doesn't even have a name yet.
Yeah.
And the ugly one is Amy, of course, as contrasted with Glory Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor Amy.
Teen Girl Squad.
Okay, that's great.
Okay, so, I mean, I've already given you Tattletale, the best name that exists.
Okay.
I realize that's not the name people have for her, but it's so good, it should be. Okay, so we have Glory Girl, Victoria, Taylor. Okay, the problem is that I don't know Taylor's cape name yet.
You don't need to.
Okay.
Would you like the hint? The hint is just that the names all involve Taylor's current lack of a cape name.
Bug. Oh. TTTT? Doesn't seem great. I mean, I feel like one of them should be LadyBug, but I feel like it could be Tattletale just as one of the most prominent ladies, but I do think that one of them should be LightningBug, and that should be Glory Girl and
I love
Taylor,
that.
because they're sort of a, like, you know, Glory, Lightning, there's something there. And none of the others seem like they would be LightningBug. I'm trying to see if they're good, like, portmanteaus, like Glory Bug. No. I mean, that's fine, but it's not anything special. Bugacea. It's not great. Is there a type of bug? None of them make sense for StinkBug. That doesn't seem right. What's their last name?
Dallin.
I was hoping it'd start with a W, and then VW Bug could be Victoria and Taylor.
Ooh, I love that.
That would have been great. I'm trying to think of other kinds of bugs.
Is there a bug that might have to do with Panacea's whole aesthetic and what her where her power is often used? Like
in a hospital?
Yeah.
Like a maggot situation? Like to eat the diseased flesh? Well, I mean, she wears this sort of white veil.
Yeah. If somebody was prescribing you a lot of
medicine,
Amy Taylor Vick, a type of medicine.
I mean, we do refer to bug, like, illnesses as bugs, but like...
Well, like, more like a form of medicine.
Pillbug. Pillbug is Panacea, Taylor. Definitely.
You got it. That's one.
Okay, so I haven't gotten the others, is what you're saying.
VW Bug is really good, but...
It's really good, but it's not her name.
I wouldn't be surprised if LadyBug is something, but it's not one of these.
Yeah, and LightningBug is not.
LightningBug is also not.
Yeah, what other bugs are there?
Well, neither of the others is a bug.
Oh, okay. Okay. It's just...
What's a word that comes to mind when you think of Lisa?
Know-it-all. SmugBug?
SmugBug.
Is it SmugBug?
It's SmugBug.
Oh my god. That's amazing. Glory Girl.
What's something that Glory Girl likes to do when faced with an obstacle?
To smash it.
Yeah.
Smash bug?
Yeah, but more of a... the way
Punch
that
bug.
she... Yes.
Punch buggy?
Punch buggy.
That's great. Punch Buggy, Smoke Bug, and Pill Bug. That's really good. What a great Teen Girl Squad.
Yeah. I don't
Taylor
know
herself.
I don't know for a fact that people started these ships based on this scene, but I absolutely would believe that.
This was a great scene.
This was enough to get the ball rolling.
Yeah. I don't know if I see yet any of those as good relationships for Taylor. I do think that...
Again, not going to say anything about the prevalence, but I did think it would be a fun activity.
Oh, very fun.
And I also know that the listeners would love to hear more, as we meet more characters and Taylor interacts with more characters, hear more shipping inputs. Yeah. I know that we're very into the crush on Brian, but we can set multiple ships sailing.
It's so true. I was just gonna say, I think of all the three, Amy's the one she has the most in common with personality wise, as far as I can tell so far. But that doesn't necessarily mean they'd be good together. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I really can't see her and Glory Girl being a thing.
Yeah. No.
And
her
and Lisa, it doesn't feel compelling to me at the moment. I feel like Lisa doesn't take seriously a lot of the things that Taylor takes seriously, and that's a real point of incompatibility. So
yeah, that's an interesting observation.
Yeah.
Well, we can keep an eye on them, or maybe it won't come up again. We'll see.
Ever. All right. Do you have names for me?
I have one name. Stinger.
Stinger? Okay, it's probably not someone who's specifically venomous themselves. It sounds like one of Taylor's bugs. I think it's someone who shoots you. Like really, really wonderful accuracy, sort of a Legolas figure, maybe.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, or a tinker who has a great crossbow type weapon.
Cool. Yeah. I love that. I was just building off of your previous theory. What if we learn that in this interlude that one of Taylor's bugs that she snuck under Clockblocker's eyelids had such a bad time that it developed superpowers of its own.
Whoa.
And now it's like a superpowered bee named Stinger.
I was hoping that Taylor would get a sidekick, so I think that's how it will happen.
Taylor and one bee.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's going to be it.
All right. Well, prove you wrong next time.
Nice. On Inchworm.
Worm is a web serial by J.C. McCrae. You can read Worm at parahumans.wordpress.com and support the author at patreon.com/wildvote. Follow us on Tumblr and Blue Sky at Inchworm Podcast, or find our Discord link and any other updates on inchwormpodcast.com.